If you guys are struggling with your weight loss, you've tried so many different diets, tried to adjust your meal timing, tried to change your eating habits, your food choices, maybe tried to tweak around your carbs and your fat ratios, and you can't find an answer or break through this plateau that you seem to be forever on, then this video might be for you. When you try and change everything that you can think of, or you go to YouTube or you Google all these different ways on how to lose weight, but you still can't seem to find the best solution for you, then I always recommend my clients to start counting calories. The reason being is because we know, and you would have heard this from my previous videos, that calories are the only thing that really matter. So it makes sense to try and approach calories directly instead of messing around with any eating habits or anything like that. It's a more stricter approach than intuitive eating, which I talked about in my last video, in that there's less room for guessing. You don't make meal or food substitutes based on what you perceive as healthy, but instead you go directly towards which one has less calories or which one has more calories, so I can try and avoid that as much as I can. And it's much more informative in that everything that you log in gives you much more information as a whole in terms of identifying certain foods with their calorie content, their macronutrient content, fiber content, even micronutrients, if this is something you want to start looking into more. Before I continue, what I do want to make clear is that this video is trying to inform you on why counting calories will be the best solution for most of you out there who've tried everything else but can't seem to find a breakthrough, and also how you can get started with this process. Most people associate calorie counting with more of the negative sides than the positive, in a sense that it's too much hard work, and just simply repeating this process day in, day out seems very tedious and very time consuming. But what I want to point to is the side of how much freedom it actually gives you. By freedom, I mean being liberated from all these thoughts that you can't eat certain foods, or your meals have to be timed in a certain way, or any other extreme approach which you deem is just too awkward for your current lifestyle. There's just simply much more flexibility when you know your calorie target is the only thing that matters. Like I said, this also eliminates guesswork. Whereas with intuitive eating, everything was based around making changes that saw you ditch some certain foods or meals for these healthier options. You have much more freedom in a sense that you're just looking at everything from a caloric point of view. You'll also see how healthy foods might not be as low in calories as you thought they might be. Now, in terms of information, this is the best approach you can take, because depending on how honest you are with your input, the more reliable your results will be, and the better you'll be able to make these changes and decisions in the future. So at the end of the day, this whole approach does fall entirely onto you. It relies on you putting in all of the information that you can. Now, some things might seem minor to you. For example, a couple of spoons of sugar in your tea or coffee, or a little Freddo bar here and there, or one or two biscuits, and so on. It all seems small at the start, but when it starts mounting up on average, you'll get to see the bigger picture. It's not all about your meals. Sometimes your snacks can add up to be much more than your individual meals. And you might even be surprised how those minor things add up to be more than 50% of your total calories. But all these small things won't matter in the long term. The main thing is that you add them in now, so you just get an idea of what these spoons of sugar mean in terms of calories and how they impact your diet. It's all just there to build up your knowledge, but in the long run, like I said, you won't really be including that in your tracking. But your meals will be a very good indicator of, if you do snack a lot, why this is happening. You'll start seeing things like how high your calories are with certain meals compared to other meals, and why this is. It's very dense in fat or very high carb. And if it is high carb, then it maybe is not very high in fiber, not much protein. And all of these small indicators tell you that you're having large calorie dense meals, but they don't seem to be keeping you satiated. They don't seem to satisfy you. And that's what leads to all these cravings and snackings throughout the day. So you can already see how much information you get from just simply logging in meals. And all of this, from its calorie content to its macro ratios, everything is there for you to work with. Now, if you decide that you do want to start calorie counting, you don't have to start off with expectations. If this is something that you already know is going to be difficult from the start, just putting unnecessary pressure on yourself might put you off of the whole process. So I'd recommend just not finding out what your daily calorie targets should be, but instead just simply start off by logging in all your meals, logging in what you eat. And go ahead and start making changes to your food choices or reducing your overall snacking, or whatever it is. Don't put a calorie target for you to meet. Just scan everything that you're eating, and at the end of the day, see how much calories you do end up consuming. Just be as consistent as possible. Log in everything that you can. And then when you've done this for a week or two, average out your results. So you'll find that some days you'll have higher calories than the other, and some days you'll have very low calories. Just averaging out your results will give you a clearer picture and more of a target to work with. See, when you have days where you had much higher calories than other days, you can maybe go back to your diary and see what you ate, and you might just figure out why you ate so much in that day. It might be because your fiber levels weren't very high, or you were eating much more foods which weren't really keeping you satisfied as much, and so it kept you hungry throughout the day. And it's all this information that can help you adjust and see on which days you were able to maintain lower calories and what the reason was for that. Try and adapt and make changes around those kind of days. So that's it for this video, guys. I thought I'll try and keep this relatively brief because the idea is the same. Everything that you focus on is going to be just around calories, but I just wanted to point out why calorie counting is a much better option and something that's really overlooked from the perspective of how much negatives it has than positives, where these negatives really aren't negatives. They're just something that take up a little bit more of your time in a day. But one thing you got to remember is that once you start adding things into your diary, weighing food, all these small habits, they become really quick. It doesn't take much time at all. It just becomes automatic. So I hope this helps you in your journey for weight loss or fat loss. And if you do have any more further questions on calorie counting, be sure to drop it down below. I'll be happy to help you if I can. Also, if you like this video, guys, be sure to give it a thumbs up. All these small things like interacting and giving likes helps the YouTube algorithm and helps this video reach out to a much more wider audience. So be sure to do all that, and I appreciate your time, and I'll see you guys in the next one.